Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. I said this is my WIP. Technically, I haven't actually started working on it yet, so you're going to see me lay the first drills. Let me zoom in to where I'm going to be working and we'll get started. All right, I've got my timer started. I'm going to start. There's a lot of multi-placing, as you can see here. All right, I think I picked out enough of the troublesome drills that I can get started here. So let me jump in and get started with my regular life. What's going on in my regular life? Not a whole lot. It is the holiday season, of course, so lots of things busy with that. We went to my mother-in-law's for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. She is super excited to have hubby back where he can come over and do those sorts of things. They have kind of a schedule of who goes to see his dad in the nursing home. He needs assistance with feeding sometimes. Some days are better than others. Hubby went, I think, Thursday, and his dad was very coherent, wanted to feed himself. But then there's other days where he goes in and his dad's sleeping, and I guess once he's asleep, you can't really wake him up, so. But yeah, his mom is glad to have him back. And his birthday is coming up, so she's excited about that. She's already made plans for New Year. She's made plans for his birthday. I'm glad that he's getting to spend that extra time with his folks because he's enjoying it. They're enjoying it. And it's been nice to have family to spend the holidays with because I'm missing mine, so it takes my mind off of it a little bit. Not all the way, but it helps. We've gone to dinner a couple of times with his oldest son and girlfriend. We actually went out to dinner with her dad, the girlfriend's dad, and the dad's girlfriend. So it was kind of fun to meet everybody and see all these people that you just kind of have heard about while we were living in the States but didn't really know. Plus we got to eat some good food while we were doing it, so there's always that. I did get to video call with my family on Christmas Eve, so I got to talk to everybody while they were at my sister's. My brother was sick, but I try to text them every so often just to keep us all in the loop together. We did go up to the in-laws for Christmas, but we did spend Christmas morning just me, my husband, and my son. So small celebration, but it was good. We did actually spend part of the time watching a movie. We watched that Red One movie with Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson. I liked it. It was good. Cute, sappy, but entertaining. I'm liking how quickly this is going so far. I'm still struggling a bit with homesickness, although a couple of things helped. It's been the holidays and so everybody's been home and available to chat, so that has helped. Just little things like a Pizza Hut opened in our area, which I guess they've never had before, which seems a little strange to me. Was born in the town where Pizza Hut was launched, I guess. I don't want to say invented. They didn't invent pizza, but so it was a little surreal to see the Pizza Hut. We went and had some pizza from there. It doesn't taste quite the same. It was still good. Didn't taste quite the same, but that's okay. But it made it feel a little bit more like home. Hubby and I were out shopping for groceries, and I came across my favorite hand soap, which is like a pink grapefruit smell. And I told my husband, I'm stupidly excited to find this hand soap, but sometimes it's just the little things, you know. I think some of it is, it feels so different here, of course, with all the snow, but the water, which is so different from home, and listening to the waves crash some days, while it's nice, is just a bit weird. There's no trains or planes really around here. Where we're staying is pretty far from the airport, and it's a small airport because it's a small city. no trains really to speak of. Where we used to live in the States, there were freight trains going by on a daily basis, and even though we lived pretty far from the tracks, you could still, in the night, in the early morning, still hear the train as it blew its whistle going through town. And I was just remarking to hubby that I hadn't heard any trains or planes. Planes is a big one for me because in the town I grew up in, there was an Air Force base. So we heard big planes all the time, and of course a big airport, so lots of jets flying overhead. Even though it wasn't a huge airport, it was still pretty busy. I was remarking to hubby, gosh, I don't think I've heard a plane since we got here. And I mean, where we're staying, like I said, is pretty far from the airport, so that's not surprising. But it was just something I suddenly realized that's part of what made it feel odd, was that I wasn't hearing any airplanes. And the very next day, hubby and I are sitting in the living room watching TV, and all of a sudden I hear an airplane. I'm like, how funny. All this time that we've been here, I just happened to mention it to him, and then the very next day we end up hearing one. Just odd. It is way quieter here too, just in general. Not the same amount of car noise. Even though we lived in a very small town in the States, we lived on a pretty busy corner, and we lived on the corner where trucks were supposed to go. So there was always like big heavy trucks rumbling down the street, which made it probably seem noisier than it actually was, but not something we hear where we are now. So I did get to see a few unusual sights this week. Something I don't think I've ever seen on any of my trips to Canada previously. I think all the visits that we've come up after Christmas, so that's probably why. But Tim Hortons was closed for the holidays. So they were closed, I think, on Christmas Day and the day after, Boxing Day here. We don't have Boxing Day in the States, so that's been a bit weird as well. But yeah, driving by and not seeing any cars at all at Tim Hortons was a bit weird. When we were out to dinner with my husband's oldest, he was telling us that in the province we're in, the businesses are required to be closed on Christmas and Boxing Day. They can open if they want to, but they have to pay a fine, which seems bizarre to me, but it's meant to be a way to make sure that people have vacation time or time off on the holidays to see their family, which I'm in favor of. And there were people open. The local McDonald's, because Tim Hortons closes, makes a killing, I guess, on people who don't want to make their own coffee or can't. So they open up, just pay the fine and open up. Good way for the government to make some extra money, I guess. Not too many people took advantage of that, I don't think, but we didn't see a ton of restaurants open or anything. But we also didn't go look, so I don't know. But anyway, other exciting things that I saw, hubby and I were on our way back. We'd driven to a city to look at a car. We saw 2 moose on the highway. I don't know if I told you guys that or not. They were behind the moose fence, so thankfully they were not on the highway. And they were about 200 yards apart, but both of them just standing there. Neither had antlers. I don't know if I know moose shed their antlers every year. I don't know if they shed them during the winter. I think that's what I remember. Anyway, both of them standing there at the fence, just kind of looking confused. So I don't know if they were thinking they were going to be able to get across the road and now confused because the fence is there and they can't, or if I'm just attributing that to them. But it just seemed weird that they were just kind of standing there like they were watching the cars go by, like, well, what do we do now? And the fact that there were 2 of them when all this time I've been complaining that I haven't seen one, and then we saw 2 right together. I still would like to see one with the antlers on it, but I guess I'll have to wait till spring for that. Again, perfectly happy to see them behind the fence. I don't need to actually meet them on the highway. Moose versus car never turns out well for the car, but they're such cool animals. I think that's part of it been a bit weird too. Where we used to live, we lived out in the country, so I saw horses and cows and deer and that kind of stuff every day. I've seen 1 cow herd since we got here, from a pretty good distance. Now a couple of moose, and we saw the fox. I think that's it. I mean, other than like people's pets and seagulls, we haven't really seen any animals or anything, so that's been a bit of a change as well. I'm slowly getting there. Like I said, things still feel a bit like we're on an extended vacation because, I don't know, it just doesn't all feel real yet. We're still waiting on things to arrive in the mail. They're still playing catch up from the postal shutdown, and it just, like, we don't have our debit cards from the bank account that we opened several months ago. We don't have our driver's licenses. We don't have our insurance cards. Yeah, still feeling a bit like an extended vacation. I don't know if getting those things will make it seem less real or less surreal, I mean, but we'll see. I decided I needed to get back on a schedule, so I'm trying to do some things that will force me to kind of work on a schedule. We had another meeting with the tax person. We had like a video, well, not really a video call. It was like a Zoom meeting, but no video. But talking about what we need to do to file our taxes and stuff. And even though none of us really have worked here or anything, because of the permanent residency, we have to file. So I'm kind of curious how it works. I need to do a bit of research and see, because we won't have paid any taxes to the Canadian government, of course, because we didn't get here until November and none of us were working at that point. And if it wasn't for the permanent residency, we probably wouldn't file Canadian taxes, but we need to. So for my son, it'll be pretty easy. His will be all zeros. He was a student for most of last year, or this year, I guess, still 2024, and none of us are working yet, so he won't have any income for 2024, so his will just be zeros for Canada, and he's on our return as a dependent for the US, so his is easy peasy. And I don't think ours are going to be super complicated. We do have to file some weird form because we have a Canadian bank account. I guess the government does that to keep track and make sure people aren't like laundering money or anything. So we do have a form that we have to file for that, which is not a big deal, just another form to fill out, but we do have to do that. And then I just want to know how it works as far as the Canadian government. Like, is this for this year, since we spent most of our time in the States, do we just say, hey, we're claiming a credit, we paid taxes in the US? But I know our Canadian taxes will probably be more. So yeah, some research for me to figure out how it's all going to work. And it's one of those things, my husband's like, I don't know why you care. You're not going to be filing the taxes. We're paying someone to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But also, just because we're paying someone to do it doesn't mean they can't make mistakes. And ultimately, if there's a mistake, it's on us, right? So I just want to know how to do it. Next year, all of our income should be Canadian, I think. I'm still not quite sure how to do all the YouTube stuff either. I mean, it'll all get reported, so I don't know if it matters. But I have held off on moving anything for YouTube because this is not a permanent address for us. And I don't want to have to redo everything in just a couple of months when we find a permanent house. So anyway, we're also still looking for a second vehicle. We thought we had one, but then we found out some things that we were like, yeah, I don't think that sounds like a car we want to buy. So hubby and I are going to go check out a couple of other vehicles and see what we can find. Unfortunately, I think we're just going to end up spending more money than we want to, which was probably going to be the case no matter what, but it's just, yeah. And I don't like shopping for new cars, so hubby always goes out and does that. And then when he thinks it's something that I might be interested in, he'll come get me and be like, okay, let's go drive this one. He enjoys the process. I do not. So while he's been doing that, I've been, like I said, trying to figure out what kind of a schedule, what kind of a routine I want to get myself on, and working for those things. I get distracted very easily. So one of the things I was reading about was to minimize distractions on your phone was to turn your phone to grayscale. And I've done that and it actually works. The only thing is I use my phone typically to record, and it shows the video in grayscale. I wasn't sure if it was going to actually record in grayscale or not. So then I had to figure out there's a way that you can make a shortcut so that I can just click a button a couple of times and it will reset itself. Even if it showed in grayscale but filmed in color, that was going to be confusing for me. So I did a bit more research and things. It's always fun to find out things that you own do things that you didn't know they did. Like, wow, I didn't know my phone could do this, so that's pretty cool. And it has helped with distractions, actually. So I'm going to try and get back on a schedule, going for our regular walks, a regular cleaning schedule. I spent some time cleaning the rental today because I've kind of been slacking on that with the holidays and everything, and it needed it. I even took the rugs outside and beat all the dirt and sand off the rugs. It'll all come right back in, I know, but at least I made an effort. It's been kind of a pain waiting for all of our IDs to show up, though. Hubby has our Canadian bank account set up on his phone, but every time we've gone to pay for groceries, it hasn't worked, and we couldn't figure out why. Hubby said he finally figured it out. There was something else he had to set up on the app on his phone so that he could use it as a credit/debit card, but we weren't sure how to do it. Since we don't have the actual debit card, we weren't sure what numbers to use and all that fun stuff. I think he's got it figured out now. We'll see the next time we go to the grocery store. You don't realize how much you use some things until you don't. How many times a day we use our debit card without even thinking about it, which is kind of why I don't want to put mine on my phone, because I don't want it to be something that I just pull out mindlessly and spend money. I was actually just thinking the other day, as we're transferring money out of our US bank account to the Canadian one, that it doesn't seem like real money. Like we're not taking it to the bank and having the bank switch it over, that sort of thing. Like I'm not handing over American money and having it given back to me in Canadian form. It's just American money that disappears into the ether, right? Or it's this number that doesn't exist, that is only on the computer, that is our bank balance in the States, that we then transfer over and becomes this ethereal virtual bank balance in Canada. I can remember, I'm so old, I can remember my very first job. I actually got paid in cash every Friday. Everybody got a big envelope of cash. That was your pay for the week. Can you imagine them doing that now? I mean, it was a first job, so it's not like I was making thousands of dollars or whatever, but still, can you imagine people these days paying in cash, businesses paying in cash? All right, so I think that's pretty much the update for my regular life, what's been going on in my diamond painting life. As you might have guessed, since I'm currently working on this kit, I finished the gingerbread lighthouse, which I'm super excited about because I thought that one was going to come down to the wire, and I didn't think I was even going to get started on this one, much less finish it. So I'm super excited to have this one started before the end of the month. I don't know if I'll finish it, but given how quickly all this multi-placing is going, maybe. I would love to finish this one before the 31st, so that's the current goal. And then I can start really looking at 2025 and what I want to do there. I mean, I've already got my goals set and all of that kind of stuff, but where do I want to start? Some of them kind of take care of themselves, like the diamond painting hours and the budget and that sort of thing, but I just want to get stuff finished. Did everybody do an Advent project this year? Did anybody do an Advent project? I did an Advent project a couple years ago. For me, trying to do a video every single day during December, when it's already busy with the holidays and everything, just gets to be a little bit too crazy for me. For my own sanity, I think it's just easier for me to not do an Advent project, or at least show it on video. I might do one next year. They seem fun, and the one that I did, I liked. When it's the holidays, there seems to be so much other things going on. Plus this year with the move and everything, being so close to the holidays, I knew there was no way I'd have time to film and edit something every single day. But I enjoyed looking at everybody else's Advent projects, so that's pretty cool. I always like seeing what other people are doing and working on and how they're working. I learn something new every time. So as I race towards the finish of this one, which, like I said, hopefully won't take too long. I'm liking my progress already, just in the little bit that I've been setting here. And it really is, I think it's technically 33 by 33, but 30 by 30-ish. It shouldn't take that long. I had that one challenge with myself where I did 30 of them in 30 days. Granted, some of them were specials, but I did quite a few full drill ones in there. So, and with this one being Diamond Art Club and all the drills fitting together so nicely, hopefully it will not take very long at all. I do plan to do like a year in review type video for 2024, so I can go back and look at all the kits that I finished, which I want to do even more now after I realize that I'm missing a bunch of my video footage, just so I can kind of go back and look at what did I finish, what did I work on this year. Some of this year is a bit of a blur with the move and everything. It feels like I spent most of the beginning of the year packing and sorting and donating, and then all of a sudden it was time to actually pack the trailer and move and cross country and cross the border, and now here we are. And since we've got here, it's been a bit of a rush to do things like changing our driver's licenses and importing the cars and all that stuff. So yeah, in a weird way, even though it felt like it was taking forever, this year seems to have flown by at some points. So I'm going to do a year in review type video. Like I said, I need to do a state of the stash video because I need to see where I'm at for the stash, because since one of my goals is to reduce my stash, I need to know where I'm at so I can figure out how many things I need to work on so that I can do that. So yeah, lots of things in the works for 2025. I did finish up yesterday's video, was, I'm pretty sure, the last video in my Diamond Painting for Beginners series. I think I covered all the topics that would be helpful for people who are just starting out. I mean, I probably didn't cover every single thing under the sun, but I think I covered the basics, which is what you need when you're first starting out, right? Has anybody ever done a, I don't know what you would call it, not diamond painting for beginners, but like diamond painting tips, tricks, for people who've been doing it for a while? What do you even call that? Intermediate diamond painting 201 instead of 101. I should go look and see if anybody's done anything like that before. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you know anybody who's covered something like that. I'd be interested in looking up that video. What kind of things would be covered in that? I mean, I'm sure there's tons of tips and tricks and things that you could share, but I don't know if that would be enough to make a whole video series. I kept a whole list of tips and tricks of things that I've come across, heard people doing, tried myself. Maybe that's why it gets to be more difficult after you're not a newcomer anymore in a hobby or something, because you've kind of tried everything, or at least all the things that are out there when you start, right? So new things just don't come around as often. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I just don't keep up on all the trends and everything like I should. But like, I don't think I've seen a super new innovation in like trays or tips or anything. Steel tips were a huge improvement when I first started diamond painting, but while there have been improvements and certainly more people getting into the steel/metal diamond painting tip business, I don't know that I've seen anything that I thought was kind of revolutionary as far as products go. What's the new next big thing in diamond painting? You know what I mean? It'd be kind of cool if there was something, but I don't know what that would be. I'm actually really loving how quickly this has come together. That's a pretty big chunk right there for me to get done. Just sitting here and chit-chatting a little bit. Not perfectly straight, but that's okay. They're straight-ish. I'm sitting here today watching the waves roll in. It's actually pretty calm out there today, but today's another one of those days where it looks like ice is floating in, because it looks more like ice than water, just the way the light's reflecting and everything. But that could just be because it's super overcast today too. It's actually supposed to be fairly warm here for the next week or so. And by warm, I mean above freezing. It's supposed to be, I think, a whopping 34 today, which sounds crazy to me to say that is warm, but for here it is. I think it's twice that at back home. Hopefully I'll get to talk to my oldest today. She was not feeling good last time. We did talk at Christmas, but I wanted to talk to her the next day, and she's like, I don't feel good, Mom. I don't have a voice. Her throat was really bothering her, but hopefully she's feeling better and we'll be able to video chat. Still haven't managed to catch up with my sister. She's still recuperating from foot surgery, so hopefully I'll get a chance to chat with her in the next couple of days or so. We'll see. All right, so diamond painting life, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good start for me. I didn't get a ton done, but this isn't going to be a super long whip and chat either. Just, it's the holidays. Not a ton has been going on. You can see here, I did a pretty good chunk and it didn't take very long, so I'm pretty happy with that. So fingers crossed that that means that I'm going to be able to meet my goal of finishing this one, because I still need one more finish. Actually, I have another project that I might finish as well, so maybe I'll even go over, but I definitely want to try and finish this one. And as I stand up here, I'm fussing with the drills. Okay, so I just want to finish at least one more project, because that will mean that I met my diamond painting goals for 2024. I don't know if I'll meet all of them, but I would like to at least meet that finish goal. That means I will have met enough of them to make me happy, and then I can start looking on to 2025, which seems crazy to see. My youngest keeps pointing out to me, Mom, next year we'll be as close to 2050 as we were to the year 2000. And I was like, ugh. The year 2000 was just like 5 years ago, right? Anyway, thanks so much for sticking around for all of this rambling. I hope everyone had a very merry holiday season, and I hope that everyone is looking forward to a great new year. That's all for me today, guys. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.